Well, when they come in the morning, their temperature and symptom check, they have to answer a set of questions, and then they're banded, and they are kept segregated from the rest of the athletic department staff. They're socially distanced in their meetings. They're required to wear masks throughout the building and on the way to and from practice. We're testing weekly now, and we will probably go to biweekly testing during the season. Anyone who gets a positive test, a result, we do heart work on them, and we've been doing that. We're going to continue to do that. So we're very comfortable that we've done what the medical folks, actually above and beyond what the medical folks have advised.
Could I just add one thing about testing? We now have our own lab at Florida State University. It's licensed nationally, and all the protocols that required to do that. We now have the ability of testing someone and returning those results within less than 24 hours. That's a huge advantage for us, and I think other schools are trying to do the same thing, but it's a huge advantage for us, not only from the standpoint of testing. I agree with the governor. Sometimes we tend to, I think we've talked about a lot of over-testing, but I think for athletes it'll be very important. And I think the contact tracing system that we have in place is also very, very a good system that really gets us to understand if there are people that are at risk beyond that individual. So we've got a lot of good things in that regard.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, me, like I said, we preach accountability, so I'm doing my best to, come here to the stadium, handle my business, follow their protocols here, and then when I get home, just stay home. It's that simple.
Likewise, coming here, wearing a mask, washing my hands after everything I do, just following those protocols that's been set for us, and when I go home, I'm home. I'm not going anywhere.
And I think that's something that when you look at our players, they want to play the game, and they're going above and beyond in all aspects to try to limit where they go, to try to maintain as much social distance as possible. We all have to live lives and go different places, but they know what's at risk, and they want to make sure that we're putting themselves in the best position to be able to play this game that they love.
And that, obviously, I commend you guys for doing it, and that probably helps your football too, because getting in these diversions, and I'm not saying you guys would, but you coach, you probably would not want them to be at parties or all that other stuff, and just kind of keep the pedal to the metal, focus on the athletics and the academics, and do it in a safe way, and I have no doubt that they're going to try to do that. I would support that, but I do think that the ACC, SEC, I think that we're going to be in good shape. But if something were to radically happen, we would be supportive of the schools doing it. But I don't anticipate that. I don't think John anticipates that as being necessary. Now, I did mention, the schedule is what the schedule is now. As we all know, when the SEC changed their schedule, that took an important game to our state off the map. And so, we'll see if there's any type of fallout from some of these other conferences, how that may provide an opportunity, to play what I think is a very important rivalry game for the state of Florida. So I've told both schools, I'm totally supportive of making that happen if there was a way, but I understand. These schedules are what they are, and there's only a limited amount of options at this point. Yes, sir. Well, so the question was, would I take executive action to do the FSU-UF game? And the answer to that is, that obviously would need to be done in collaboration. Part of the whole thing with this, that I'm just it's not for one person with no checks to just be dictating these things. I mean, we've really got to work together. I think that I know the players want to play the game. I know the coaches want to play the game. Everyone will want to do it. So, you know, it would be the type of thing where it's more of just logistics, figuring out how all this shakes out in probably the very near future, and then seeing what our options are. But, you know, I think if you look back, I mean, how many, you know, we kind of set our calendar in some way to the FSU UF game. I mean, it's just, we know, you know, when it gets to that point in November, we know it's going to happen, and we know all the great, you know, great heroics that have, you know, that have happened in all these games through the year. So, you know, I personally, just as a Floridian, I mean, I wouldn't want to deprive these kids of that opportunity. At the same time, for them to be able to play the season, even under a little bit of abbreviation, you know, if I would take that, you know, bird in the hand, if that's what we do, that is much better than nothing for sure. So the question is about this new executive order unemployment. So there's two possibilities. One is to use federal CARES Act dollars for it. That's not an option for us in Florida because those CARES Act dollars are obligated already. Now, they haven't been, quote, spent, but it's $4+ billion that's been obligated. And so we've got to do that. The other option is, and we're investigating it and would do it if we can, is to potentially take a loan from the Department of Labor to our unemployment system and then pay out additional benefits as a result of that. But we're looking to see what that would entail. My one concern I have is you know, we obviously, this is a tough budget time for us. And so if I'm having to potentially have general revenue obligated for this, then that is something that would be very problematic given our circumstances. So this labor thing may give us away. But I also know, you know, there's only so much you can do through executive action. I mean, we're now on the point where, like, presidents just do that. But I want to make sure that there's no legal risk for us if someone were to challenge this, then we'd be left on the hook. So my guys are looking at that. But I think if we can do the Department of Labor enhanced benefit through that loan, we would want to do it to give people some more relief. So, you know, I know the commissioner is working with them, and obviously he'll have to make determinations about that. You know, our perspective on this, you know, particularly outside of our southern Florida counties who are still in phase one, is we want school districts to be offering parents a meaningful choice. If you want to keep your kid in distance learning, no problem. If you want that in-person instruction, we got to figure out a way to do it. We were at a charter school in Hillsborough. And what they're doing is really, they're finding a way. They're being innovative. They're creating a very safe environment, and I think doing it in a way that the parents are really appreciative of. It's interesting. They, at that school, you know, they have a percentage of the parents who are opting for virtual to start. They have more who are opting for in-person, but even in that one instance, you know, you see the choices being made, and I think that that's fine. My fear is, for example, special needs kids. You know, even Miami-Dade, which obviously has faced much more severe outbreak than anywhere else in Central Florida or the Tampa Bay area, they are doing in-person for children with special needs right off the bat. And they're obviously at a prevalence that, although their prevalence is going down too, the trend has been good, we want to see that continue, their prevalence is higher than theirs. So to not even give the children with special needs that in-person instruction. And we went down to Clearwater right across the bay a couple weeks ago, and we had the teachers there saying, I'm pleading, we need to have our kids in because the virtual is just not working for our situation. And so when I see somebody like Carvalho in Miami-Dade going above and beyond to doing that, even though he's under difficult circumstances, you know, I ask myself, why can't every school district do that? And I think certainly Hillsborough could have done at least that. Yes, sir. So I'm not sure that they could have done so. one, as you know, because you cover this a lot, I have no involvement in that. I can't put my thumb on the scale. Obviously, I don't want Deloitte getting contracts personally because we're investigating what happened with the unemployment system. At the same time, there's a process that happens. There was a protest filed that is going to be adjudicated. There was also a negative recommendation sent from the Department of Economic Opportunity referencing what happened with the unemployment system. But I think what happened was they dropped their price so dramatically that it's not clear to me that, that at that point they could have been denied it on neutral grounds. Maybe if you inject this issue into it, but I'm just not sure whether they're allowed to do that based on the law. So my view would be whatever we can do within the law to put that on hold, I would support. I personally can't do that because it'd be violating Florida law. But until we get the answers on why the state gave them $77 million for a product that the engineers who had to fix this told me was not worth that, I would say, keep it on the pause. But I can't personally do that and be consistent with the law. No, I'm not, because I don't think that it was anything where she wanted to do it. In fact, in some respects, we want these things to not be political. It obviously would be really. It wouldn't make sense to award that if you were thinking in those lines. So I think that they just followed whatever the guidelines were. I don't think the secretary personally was involved with it. I think that that's just how the process went on. But there is a protest, and I think that protest process should go forward. All right. Well, we appreciate everyone coming out. We look forward. What is it? September 12th.
September 12th.
September 12th will be the first game of the season, and so all the Seminole Nation can know they have my support. All our colleges, all our universities, and their sports programs. And as we're here talking about football, because we all get so excited about it, and it is very important because it is an engine for all the athletic programs. We do want to say that all these student athletes are important. I mean, we want the women's soccer we want to be able to watch them again. We want to be able to see I mean, Florida State had a great basketball season going. Cut short. I want to see them back in action. We want to see the softball and the baseball team again. So all these things I think are important. Football is kind of always the biggest sport in the state of Florida, and we obviously welcome that and appreciate it. And we want to stand there for our football players, but we want to stand there for all our student athletes, because you know what, you may have some of these athletes that are going to play at the next level in all their different sports. But you got a lot of athletes who work their tail off to get here, getting a great education, having a great college career, and maybe that's it for them. But that final season or one of their seasons, that means the world to those student athletes. And we don't want to be in a situation where all that work was for naught and they weren't allowed to be able to ply their craft. And I have confidence that here at Florida State, you guys have really gone above and beyond in providing a safe, structured environment. And let's just be clear, you don't have sports. It ain't like there's not going to be activities going on with college students. And in fact, it will be unsupervised. It will be unstructured. And so just from a corona perspective, you would want the kids, I think, in the athletic program with all the folks who are so invested in their development, not only as athletes, but as young men and women. So keep up the great work, and we look forward to hearing some good news. Hopefully the ACC makes it final, and hopefully the SEC. I don't have much question about that. I think they'll be in good shape, too.
Thank you, Governor.
All right, thank you. Yes, sir. No, I think they need to start in August. Yeah, absolutely. I think most of them are ready to go, and I think we need to give them the opportunities to be able to do. You have some of these states like California, they've shut it down. I got great players out there, who are now looking to come to Georgia, Florida to be able to play. So our message to those students is we want to provide that opportunity for you to play at the high school level as well. And that means the world to so many of our student athletes. And, we talked about some of the college players who may not necessarily be pro. There's a lot of high school players who may not be able to get to college on it, but man, that's an important part of their development. So yeah, we think the August 24th is the way to go.